produce the Sterling Net Point Power Rankings, but this is Ben and Barry on football.
How you doing, everybody? My name is Ben Dickerson. I'm co-host of the show. I'm a fantasy geek, and I love the NFL. So that's what we're here for. That's what we're going to do. Okay, so in relationship to coaches and the coaching conversation that we had last week, I set out to find a few guys who, when they became first-time head coaches, what kind of records they had their first year, and in relationship to the kind of record that the team had the previous year before they got there, so that I could kind of match up the person themselves with the team that they were taking over, and the fact that they were first-time head coaches, and did they meet what should have been fair expectations. Okay, so this kind of goes along with what I was saying last week, and also what you were saying last week in reference to a bias for a rookie head coach at about 500. This is just because the funny thing is, and when I say the names, you're going to laugh because they've all been to Super Bowls at one point in their careers, and 3 of them have won. Andy Reid, Bill Belichick, Sean Payton, Doug Peterson. Believe it or not, out there, I did pick those names randomly. They popped in my head, and I said, let me see. Popped into my head, let me see. Okay? So let's remember that at the time they took over as head coaches, they weren't who they are. You know what I mean? Andy Reid wasn't Andy Reid yet. He was an offensive coordinator coming from the Packers or 49ers or wherever he was last. Bill Belichick wasn't Bill Belichick yet. His glory days were with the Giants as a defensive coordinator, linebacker coach. So we didn't know what they were going to do. Okay? Here we go. Andy Reid took over as a head coach for the first time with the Philadelphia Eagles in 1999. He had a 5-11 record, which is less than 500, but he took over a team that was 3-13. I, for one, find that interesting. And knowing him now, I'm not surprised. But back then, if someone had asked me, what do you expect out of this new head coach? And I look back at his resume, which was not limited. He was coordinator, which is a big thing, but he was taking over a pretty bad team. Would have been tough to say he needs to go at least 500 for them to think that it was a good move bringing him over, or to say that he did really well with the team that he was saddled with, so to speak. But he went 5-11. The team was 3-13. Moving on. You can give me your opinion of each one. If you think a 500 bias would have worked for them and they didn't achieve it, or it would have worked for them and they overachieved it, okay? Bill Belichick, start with the Browns. I said that, right? 1991, he went 6-10. The team the year before was 3-13. Okay? Sean Payton, Saints, first year head coach, 2006. The team was 3-13. So all these first three, the teams were 3-13. Sean Payton, did we know who he was? Quarterback coach, offensive coordinator for Dallas Cowboys. Nobody knew what he was going to do. 10-6. Went 10-6, won the division, made it to the NFC Championship game before he got beat by the Bears. Took over a team that was 3-13. And then last but not least, Philadelphia fans, Doug Peterson took over in 2016, went 7-9. The year before, Chip Kelly went 7-9. Anything interesting you find there?
Well, the first thing I did want to say when you said Sean Payton is, like, I think he stamped himself as a winner early. And everything he done is, like, he set such a benchmark that you just figure this guy, I think he got labeled great right off the bat. And, you know.
The next genius, kind of like they do today now. Yeah. That was Payton, and I remember that, yes.
Yeah, I think so. And,
I agree.
You know, It's
But the
funny
team
when
was
you-
3-13. He had his work cut out for him.
that makes his genius even more
Right, but we don't know he's a
of
genius
acclaim.
till he's a genius. We don't know. They anoint these dudes. That's my thing. They do anoint them. But he turned out to be
His first year, he was 10-6,
first year.
and the year
And
before,
it-
the
and it
team
won
had gone only with
3-13.
3 wins. Yeah,
Absolutely.
when you go from 3-13, you change your coach and go 10-6.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's not like when what's his name came to Gruden came to the Buccaneers
From the Raiders.
and
Right.
took them to a Super Bowl.
No.
The Buccaneers were already
no.
good.
That's completely different.
Yeah,
Right.
it's not like that at all.
No, not like that.
So
at all.
that's what you call a turnaround.
Yeah.
You know, you hired a coach to do a turnaround. He did that turnaround. No
Right.
doubt about it. Yeah, yeah. And you probably wouldn't. Again, how do you see Super Bowl in any of their futures? I mean, nobody saw Belichick to be
No, nobody saw
this
Super Bowls in
greatness,
any of
greatness
these
that
guys'
he's at now
futures.
from when he was there. But he got kudos from his time.
Absolutely. Absolutely. But so did Matt Patricia. You know, that's what my whole thing is. Because we don't know, if we're going to try to speculate for the fun of speculating, which is what being a fan partly is all about, wanting your team to do this and wanting your team to do that and wanting to see certain things from your team when they get a new coach that you haven't seen before, at least improvements, and you try to put your finger on it because it's fun to do. These are the things that you think about. If any of these four, if somebody had asked me back then, do you think Andy Reid, after his first year, is going to take the Eagles to a Super Bowl? Do you think Bill Belichick will? Do you think Sean Payton's probably the only one I would say had a real good chance from what I knew about him and what he did the first year.
Can I clarify one thing?
Yes.
You said take them to a Super Bowl. You didn't necessarily mean say win a Super Bowl.
No, that's what I said. Take him to.
Okay, I just want to make sure I understood that. Yeah, yeah. Well, you know, when Reed came along, we had a lot of conversations about him.
Yes.
I believe my thesis at the time was that he came in with a 5-year plan. And my thesis was that his 5-year plan, the goal of which was not to win the Super Bowl, but was to keep his job. That was my thesis.
Well,
he got a 5-year
right,
plan.
but didn't he actually verbalize that? Didn't he actually say
something to that effect?
Something about a 5-year plan?
Well, he did. That's
not
what I'm
about
saying.
saving his job.
He said he had a 5-year plan, and I'm looking
Yes,
at it, I'm
he
like,
did actually
that
say
don't
that.
look like a Super Bowl winning 5-year plan. That
Like-
looks like if I can get to 10-6, I'm gonna have my job for at least 5 years.
Well, yeah, and that to me that kind of comes with the territory. But I'm just saying, like,
You know?
you have to at least show consistent improvement. If you
Oh, he
don't,
did. He did.
yeah,
That he did.
yes,
That he did. They look more like a football team.
right,
You know, all the wackiness of the previous coaches, you know, how
Right.
that was going and
Right.
everything.
right.
Yeah, no doubt about it. No doubt about it, you know.
But again, coming in, this guy was a glorified quarterback coach. You know,
You got to start somewhere, you
Yeah.
know. That is,
I mean, he
some of
did
those are
have-
nice big steps, you know. You think the natural stepping stone would be from position to coordinator, you know, to head
he might have been
coach.
coordinator like for 1 year or something.
Maybe.
I think, yeah. But everybody praised him as being really good at his job and really good. And he worked with Brett Favre and he did this and he did that. You know, that gives you juice. You know, that gives you juice. So,
We're going to talk about Mariucci.
right.
Worked with Brett Favre. Yeah,
Right.
he's got something
Right.
we'll mention later in the
Also,
show.
he came in with an established, still talking about Andy Reid, he came in with an established system. Like he basically had his version of the West
Of
Coast
the West Coast.
all mapped out and ready.
Helps.
You know?
It helps, man. If you kind of have a system, you know, that
It saved Donovan's ass.
even though I believe it was the wrong system. I
For
don't
him.
believe for Donovan. I don't
Yeah.
believe it was, you know.
But he believed in Donovan.
He believed in Donovan. Donovan was a good quarterback. He just, I believed, had a body type that didn't lend itself to the West Coast.
Hmm.
I always remember when they talked about building the West Coast system around Montana,
Right.
and Montana not even wanting to be in the shotgun because his arm wasn't that strong. So he wanted the 3-step drop. These were
Right.
things that sort of evolved around where he was. Now,
Right.
you know, he was known for his accuracy and touch. You know, Donovan wasn't. You know, that those are attributes of the West Coast that really make it work well. Donovan tended to throw the ball into the dirt on your outs, and you're supposed to run after the catch, and you can't do that if you're diving for the 5-yard, 3-yard pass. So
that was a weak point for him, and it's funny that Andy would be willing to overlook that, because to me that's a major component.
it's probably the challenge, I think, when you adopt a system that you didn't create, you know, so the thinking behind it sometimes maybe didn't, you know, the personality what went into the making of that system, you might not have been completely in tune with. Even when we talked about,
I want to give him more credit than that. I think he made a mistake thinking Donovan could adapt.
well,
If he made a mistake, to me, that's where it was.
maybe so.
And again,
so.
Donovan wasn't horrible. People are actually talking about him being in the Hall of Fame. I'm like,
But Donovan,
but his numbers are good.
yeah,
He has good numbers.
Donovan was a good quarterback, and he did adapt to some degree, you know.
Oh yeah.
Some degree. And remember, he had that great game when his foot was hurt. He hurt his foot or something like that.
He had a broken ankle.
And he played.
Yeah.
And we were like, he was throwing, the passes were more catchable. His work in the pocket was better. It was like he wasn't trying to run off. That wasn't an option so much.
Right.
And and it seemed like it actually improved his
in a way, his
In a
body
way,
made him calm down. It calmed and made him be real fundamental, because he didn't want to do nothing erratic.
Right, exactly.
And it worked out really well for him.
Exactly. You know, so I can see that. But it's okay. So Reed, Belichick, Peterson.
Yeah, you remember Belichick's first couple of years. He had a tough time, and then they moved the team from Cleveland, and then he went to the Jets, and then he quit after like 5 days and went to the. It was crazy. It was a big mess. But considering he took over 3-13 Cleveland Browns, whose front office was probably in a little turmoil at the time, and took them 6-10, that showed promise. But everybody was looking at him like, oh, he won Super Bowls with the Giants. He's a defensive coach. And that was it. Nobody knew he was going to be Sir Bill.
GOAT.
Yep.
No doubt about it.
Let's just talk. We talked about Sean Payton. Let's talk about Doug Peterson real fast, and then we can get off of this and move on. Took a 7-9 team to 7-9 with a completely different system. A totally 100% different.
Who did this?
Doug Peterson.
Peterson.
He took over for Chip, remember?
Oh, yeah.
He threw all that. Well, not all of it, because there were some option elements in his joint, and brought Andy's shit in and came up with an identical record.
Which
I would say that's a little bit of a plus for him.
I'm thinking a plus too. I'm not thinking that's bad, you know.
Yeah.
Because again, we talked about it with Kingsbury. You know, rookie coach with a new system. You know what I mean? So you got to bring the system in, and you have to staff your system as opposed to the way this previous system had been staffed.
Exactly.
But you're stuck with some contracts. You're stuck with some people. You're moving the team into this whole new thing. And that's a coaching job right there.
Yeah.
That's a coaching. Not like you got players coming back that have been in your system 3-4 years and all of that, you know? So
the big difference with that analogy, those two guys, is though that Doug had NFL experience and Kingsbury doesn't, but everything else still applies. I'm bringing in this brand.
Kingsbury had player NFL experience, not coaching.
He
got experience in all the leagues.
That's true.
Europe.
He's been around. Yeah.
CFL,
he's been around.
NFL.
So
he is a Super Bowl winner.
Yes, he is.
He won a Super Bowl with the Patriots.
But Doug had a lot of bad press coming in. They were saying he wasn't going to be able to handle it.
No.
And
there
all
was
that.
not a lot of faith in Doug.
So the expectations.
Wasn't Andy Jr. or Andy, something like that, right?
Something like that. And I think the expectations, even for hardcore fans, was that he might fall on his face. But he duplicated the previous coach's record and said, look, I just changed everything and did as good as he did.
But again, the system that he brought in, he didn't have to invent the wheel.
No.
He brought in that system as he had it under Andy and then adapted it to the Eagles. And again, if you have that system, I just think it's a tool that truly helps.
No doubt.
A strong system might be worth at least an 800 record.
Right.
You know what I mean? You have a strong enough system. And we even had that conversation because I attributed a 500 record. I said 800 record, 500 record to when we talked about Green Bay and Aaron Rodgers.
Right.
And you know, my thing was Aaron Rodgers. You could probably take Aaron Rodgers and put him on the worst team in the league that was 2-14, and they go at least 800 just because he was there.
500.
500. I
You want to say 8-8 because you want to say 8-8.
That's what it is.
But
Eight.
yeah.
That's kind of how I feel.
There's kind of some bad teams in the NFL right now.
Really
but
bad. But if
but
you
I see what
improve
you're
the
saying.
quarterback position to that level,
Then you can improve your team.
they can at least be kind of good.
Oh yeah,
Not real good, kind of good.
Yeah,
You know.
that's true.
So Kim, you want to move on to the next phase?
Yeah,
of
what
the
do you got?
coaches thing. So again, we said we are going to talk a lot about coaches, and so I did a little research coming out of that conversation also. Let's see if I can bring that up here. Boom. So this is an article that I found. This gentleman here, Ryan Dunleavy, actually very good list of articles. He has a great archive of reading on football. I was very impressed. And he did this article, and basically he just looked at the records. You know, he didn't take into account all the quality of things, the things that, you know, what happened before and all of that. What happened is just what was the numbers, you know, what was the actual record. And he started out in 2017 and he went backwards. And, you know, whenever we have a Niner picture, I'm going to stop. But in 2017, let's take a quick look and we'll come back to it. I don't want to go too much on the article because too much other stuff popping around there. So he looked at Kyle Shanahan, Vance Joseph, Doug Marrone, Sean McVay, Sean McDermott, and Anthony Lynn, who came in as first-year coaches in 2017. 6-10, Shanahan, 5-11 for Vance, 10-6 for Marrone. Jaguars 10-6. Yeah, they had some talent. They 11-5 for Sean McVay, and boy genius. You go 11-5. Sean McDermott 9-7, and Anthony Lynn 9-7. So that was in 2017.
So keep that there. Let me see. Kyle Shanahan comes to the 49ers his first year. He goes 6-10. I would venture to guess that they the year before was a pretty poor record, wasn't it? I remember them having
That was Chip, right?
a very bad
Chip
record.
again.
Yeah, Chip again. Follow up
Chip
on Chip
again.
again. So I would say, not knowing offhand what Chip's record was that last year, that
I think
Kyle
we won
Shanahan,
like 2 games or something.
yeah,
like
I'm
that.
kind of leaning
It's
that
really
way.
bad.
So I'd say Kyle
Really
Shanahan, the job that he did, he improved the team.
Definitely
I'd say that's an improvement. Vance Joseph, I will say that is not an improvement, and I would have liked to have seen 6 or 7 wins his first year. Also, Doug Marrone, I'd say that's a definite improvement at 10-6, but that team was already on the rise as far as being built and put together talent-wise. Okay, so he did a really good job with that. Same thing with Sean McVay. Excellent job, but excellent players to work with. Okay. Anthony Lynn, I think that's the one I'm going to say is darn near like a 500. Even though it's a winning record at 9-7, I'd say that's mediocre because I believe the Chargers were better than that talent-wise, and he probably should have had a better record. Now, that's just my personal opinion. But I like the Chargers, and I've liked the Chargers for the last 3 years. And you know, I think his impact there didn't bear itself out in his first year record. Now, since it has bared itself out, I mean, they were a win against somebody, the Steelers or somebody, from going to the conference championship. So I think he's done really well there so far. But
well, let's jump to 2016, which kicks off with your boy.
he's not my boy. Stop saying that every person that ever touched a Giants jersey is my boy. All right.
Ben McAdoo, Giants. Dick Cotter of the Buccaneers. Adam Gase, the eyes. Crazy-eyed Adam Gase. Doug Peterson, we talked about him. Chip Kelly, talked about him. Hugh Jackson going to the Browns, and Mike Mularkey going to the Titans. Giants went 11-5. Buccaneers went 9-7. Dolphins went 10-6.
Well, let's say Ben McAdoo went 11-5 because we're focusing on these guys. So
Let me finish.
I'm sorry. That's not the whole list.
Doug Peterson 7-9. Chip went 2-14. I said he won about 2 games, didn't I? Hugh Jackson 1-15, and Mike Mularkey 9-7.
Chip was only there 1 year. 49ers.
Yeah.
Okay. Good. All right. So let's throw him out. I hate talking about Chip Kelly. He goes from 7-9 with the Eagles, which was unsatisfactory for the team that he had. Got fired. Got hired by the 49ers and quickly goes 2-14. Okay. Let's move on. Ben McAdoo, 11-5. I think that's kind of, I don't know. 11-5 is a winning record, but that team wasn't right. That team just wasn't right. Everybody could see something was wrong. I don't think he got the full potential out of that squad. I really don't. Dirk Cutter, I don't think I ever really liked Dirk Cutter. I'm surprised he's still the head coach there. I mean, that's right. He's not there. They finally got rid of him. Well, okay. That explains a lot. He never fit there. He wasn't right, and he wasn't well with the quarterback. Him and Jameis never saw eye to eye. Not that they were against each other or fighting. He just didn't know how to, A, talk to him, B, get him to understand him, C, relate to him. There was always something there. Adam Gase, he went 10-6 his first year, and then the wheels fell off. Well, that tells you all you need to know about him. Doug, we talked about.
So what does that make you think he might do then with the Jets?
Who, Adam Gase?
Yeah.
With better talent? With better talent, he should have a decent record. And when I say decent, I don't mean 500. I mean like a game over 500. When you look at the talent. If he doesn't, I'm blaming it on him. And by the way, since we're talking about the Jets really, really fast, the Jets defensive coordinator is Greg Williams, who was the interim coach with the Cleveland Browns after they fired Hugh Jackson, who also was the defensive coordinator with the Saints during Bounty Gate. Remember Bounty Gate? Okay. And Joe Vitt was, I think, the linebackers coach during Bounty Gate. And when Bounty Gate really blew up, Joe Vitt kind of snitched on Greg Williams. And Greg Williams didn't take too kindly to it, and there was a whole big mess there.
I can't remember that.
Guess who's the offensive coordinator and position coach for the New York Jets?
Yeah.
Those two dudes, both of them.
Working together again. Right?
They had an interview the other day, and they got all snippy because somebody asked them about Bounty Gate. Like, I don't want to talk about that. They're talking about the Jets. Are y'all going to be able to work together? I'm just saying, like, dude, snitched. They was
Gates
giving out
has
money.
the unique ability to have an eye on him and an eye on him at the. No, I'm just messing.
Stop talking about the guy. He's a weird looking dude. Yeah, that's going to be, that's a mess there.
Let's look at 2015.
Oh, do we have to go back this far?
Come on, man. 5 years, baby.
All right, so
5 years.
right off the top, Rex Ryan goes 8-8 his first year as a head coach. So he hit your bias Right on the head. Okay. So now, since it's 2015, this is from 2015 up to today. He's been an analyst for 2 years. Okay. I don't know. I don't want to say Rex Ryan wasn't successful with the Jets because they had their moments.
They did.
They had their moments, but he's now out of football. Jack Del Rio with the Raiders. Everybody loved that. I remember everybody loved that because he was the big, tough guy, linebacker dude. He seemed to fit the Raiders mold. His first year, he goes 7-9, so he probably didn't make the playoffs. I'm sure that was disappointing the Raider Nation. I'm going to say that wasn't real successful. John Fox going 6-10 with the Bears, though, was. Because you really making my memory banks go. The Bears weren't in good shape, I think, when he took over. And he had some success as a coordinator with somebody somewhere. So I think 6-10 kind of brought them back a little bit. Dan Quinn with the Falcons, 8-8. Probably what would have been expected back in those times for the Falcons. I'll go with that. Now, Gary Kubiak.
Dan Quinn. All right, go ahead.
Gary Kubiak came in with a lot of hype and a lot of, promise. He came in with the Boy Genius thing again. I forget who he worked with. I forget who he was offensive coordinator for, but he was known for his offensive work. He comes right in with the Broncos, goes 12-4. Wow. That's impressive. That's impressive for first year. Todd Bowles, 10-6, who I never thought got a fair shake with the Jets. I think that was impressive for a totally defensive guy coming in for the first time.
Todd Bowles.
Yes. In New York. 10-6, I'm impressed with that. What happened to him after that?
That was part of the problem.
Yeah. And Tom Sula. I always thought his name was Tom Sula.
Okay.
I don't know. Yeah. It's got one of those kind of names. 5-11 is not impressive at all. He never seemed to really, to me, now you're not his fan, so you can tell me better, but he never seemed to me to have the full concentration of the group. He seemed a little scattered. I watch his press conferences. He really, some guys maybe don't, public speaking is not their thing, but he always seemed to be a little out of sorts to me, and the team played that way.
Yeah. I think it's a period I'm blocked out of my consciousness. So.
No, you can't do that. You can't do
5-11.
If I didn't block out Ben McAdoo
for my Niners.
come on now.
Let's go to 2014, and I believe that will end up the 5-year numbers. Let's see if we can share something with the people.
I see something
here.
real interesting too.
Bill O'Brien, Texans, 9-7. Lovie Smith, the Buccaneers, 2-14, keeping up that Buccaneer tradition. Mike Zimmer with the Vikings, 7-9. Jay Gruden, Redskins, 4-12. Quarterback could have been Kirk Cousins, maybe first year.
2014.
No, he came in with RG3,
he came in with RG3,
or as you would call him now,
Robert Griffin.
Mike Patine with the Browns, Jim Caldwell with the Lions, and Ken Wisenhunt with the Titans. So that was Buccaneers 2-14, Vikings 7-9, Redskins 4-12, Browns 7-9. Back in 2014, Browns was almost 500. I'm going to say 800 again.
Real fast, I noticed something.
What's that?
These guys were all head coaches for the first time in 2014. There are more guys on that list that are still in the NFL than guys on the 2015 list. In fact, none of those guys on the 2015 list is still a head coach in the NFL.
Oh, that's interesting.
Isn't that something? None of them.
That's interesting. That's interesting.
Bill O'Brien's still working. 9-7.
Well, you know, we know about the carousels. You go from being a head coach to a assistant someplace else, but you're still in the game, in the family, getting paid.
Okay. Rex Ryan's on television. Jack Del Rio, I have no clue. John Fox, I'm not sure. Dan Quinn's still with the Falcons. Kubiak's out of coaching, I think. Bowles is definitely out, and Tom Sewell is out.
Okay. Yeah, Tom Sewell. Yes. However,
Lovie Smith made it to a Super Bowl.
2013. That's right.
We're going all the way back to 2013?
I do believe this is it. This is it.
Okay.
So Andy Reid, 11-5 with the Chiefs.
Made his mark right off the bat. Thank you very much.
Mike McCoy, 9-7 with the Chargers. Chip Kelly, 10-6 with the Eagles. So it's funny, okay? Andy went to the Chiefs. Chip comes in. Record's pretty much the same. One game off. Andy did one game better. 11-5 from 10-6. Chip Kelly came in. And that was Nick Foles' record-breaking Hall of Fame jersey in the Hall of Fame year, wasn't it?
Yeah.
They keep talking about it. 18-2, 16-2, something like that in terms of. Anywho, Mr. Rob Chizzinski with the Browns went 4-12. Mark Trestman with the Bears went 8-8. Bruce Arians with the Cardinals 10-6. Now that might influence your thinking about what he could possibly do in this first year with the Buccaneers if he went there 10-6. Cardinals. Doug Marrone with the Bills 6-10. Gus Bradley with the Jaguars at 4-12. So let's talk quality first. What you think about that list of coaches in those years and what was going on?
Well, for Andy Reid to get fired by the Eagles and then go to the Chiefs and have success right away and have a winning record, I think is a testament to his coaching ability, his head coaching ability. We know he has his flaws, you know, like time management and stuff like that. But other than that, the guy knows how to put a team together. He knows skill position players, blah, blah, blah. And let's not forget, because I'm not defending Chip Kelly about nothing, okay? Andy left him a pretty good team.
True.
Andy didn't get fired because he was losing. He got fired because he wasn't winning enough.
And then Chip came in and said, Shady McCoy, nah, I don't like the way you run.
That's when people realized they had made an awful.
Who is this guy? What the
mistake.
heck is wrong with him? And of course, my favorite, I don't care about time of possession. It's about the number of snaps. It's the number of snaps. Like, huh? Dude, you don't understand the fundamentals of this game.
And your team still gave him a second chance.
And what made it so bad?
They learn fast, though.
They learn fast, right? They learn fast. And if you remember, with the Kaepernick situation, okay, he had the Kaepernick situation.
Yes, he did.
And remember, I gave him a pass that year because of how he approached the Kaepernick situation. Because I actually sat and watched him in a press conference. Like, you can see the locker off in the back, and he's there, and he got all the people talking to him, and they were basically saying, isn't this a distraction? Isn't this? Isn't he bad enough? And he's like, no, it's not a problem. It's not a problem. You know, he's not a distraction. He's playing football. He's doing what he's supposed to do, et cetera. He said,
which was true.
And he said, and, you know, the treatment of African-American men is heinous. I was like, what?
I know. I did double take.
What? I was like,
I did a double take because
all right.
I remember guys in the Eagles locker room saying, this dude walk by you in the hallway and don't even speak to you. But that could just be because he's a Looney Tune.
Well, you know, he's got a lot of things up there and a lot of football up there. But like we talked about, that transition to the NFL, the differences in the number of people. So some of your philosophies have to change when you don't have 100 players. You got a 53-man roster, you know, with $1 million purses on each, you know, name. So, you know, your game changes. You got to change your game a little bit. He tried to bring that whole thing here, and it didn't quite work. Especially it caught the NFL a little bit off guard in the beginning. First year, but then, you know, it happened. So again, and Andy Reid then goes into the Chiefs with how many years of experience as a head coach?
A lot.
a lot of experience. So, we were talking kind of
Yeah, I
last
know.
week
We were
about
just only first
rookie
year.
guys.
Right.
Rookie
These guys
coaches.
went from one team to the other. I realized that after we went down a little bit.
So even with all this experience, first year, when you total up the win-losses, 259 wins, 301 losses, that averages out to 7-9. That's about as close to 500.
Close to 500 as you can get.
So I said my bias was 500.
Right.
That's the average right there. And I want to thank again the gentleman who wrote that article. I thought that
Now you got to do the math
awesome.
again and only do
rookies at some point.
See what that comes to.
We'll hold our breath till that happens. All righty.
No, do it tomorrow. I don't care.
Yeah, I got that
see
time.
it.
Okay.
Yeah, like it's not like you ain't got time.
So what we like to do, we're going to move on to the next phase. Let's take a quick look at some social media. We like to share that information, and there's a lot of good stuff happening that we want to kind of mention. We'll go through it very quickly here. So first off, I mentioned at the very beginning of the show, my name is Barry Sterling Mitchell. I do produce the Sterling Net Point Power Rankings. There they are on Facebook at Sterling NPPR. Not a whole lot going on because we actually rank by net points, and there's no games right now. But you can always find Ben and Barry on football and some different things that we like to talk about, especially if somebody does something good. I thought that was good. Now, Zeke Elliott then turned around and got in trouble after he did something
right after
good.
this.
Yeah, remember he was down at some concert.
Yeah, I saw the video. That was
security guy. I mean, it wasn't a big deal, but
it was because of him.
It's him. You know what I mean? It's like, me and you could do it, and they just throw us in jail or kick us out the park.
Nah, dude, these guys, people forget. I have to remind folks. Y'all think because these guys are professional athletes that they're going to be, perfect citizens, and these guys are just like that dumb college student you got living in your house, or should be college student, or should at least have a damn job guy. These guys are the same age as them. So, they're going to make mistakes. It's just that they're always going to get caught on camera.
There's a website, and I was thinking about sharing some information. I'll just share this from the website. I won't say the website's name, but they literally are looking at arrest records of NFL players. And they said their percentage, I guess to the whole, was actually lower than the average population percentage. So they're actually on better behavior.
Than society as a whole,
society
so to
as
speak.
a whole. Right. When you look statistically, when you look at the numbers.
Yeah.
The biggest area where they got in trouble was generally being drunk. It had to do with, I don't know if it was drunk driving. I think it was drunk driving, actually, as a matter of fact.
Was it specific to drunk driving?
Yeah, they actually had the types of charges.
Public intoxication.
Well,
intoxication.
I like that word.
You knows what I mean.
but apparently alcohol, is a drug of choice in the NFL, or at least the public drug of choice. So in any event, not trying to be negative, we always like to mention my thing in this whole football thing, besides, since we're not actually playing the game anymore, ain't nobody running up and hitting me, is Madden. Your fantasy, I'm Madden. And apparently Madden has some new features now, and they're going to allow you to.
So we created this ability.
Let me see if he'll say it, and we'll share that with the people here.
These are features that are out in the latest game.
Coming out in the latest game.
The game's out, right?
August.
Oh, okay.
So we created this ability system known as Superstar X Factor. These abilities are going to bring authentic skills that make these guys feel unique and powerful, so that every individual game is unique and game plan differently. Now, to get into the zone, you have to do an in-game objective. With Mahomes, you have to complete 4 passes of 30 yards or more, and once you get inside the zone, denoted there by his X Factor icon, he can throw the ball further than anyone else in the game. His max pass distance has increased about 15 yards to about 80. You can bomb the things.
What?
Everybody's doing an eye. I mean, that's what we see on Sunday.
What?
Talk about the air yards. It's got to be air.
But you have to earn the ability to do that.
Exactly. 4 passes of 30 yards or more, that's traveling in the air 30 yards. So the rack yards don't count. And this all makes sense because obviously Mahomes has a hell of an arm, but can all quarterbacks make throws like that, or is this just exclusive to him? Bazooka is exclusive to Patrick Mahomes. I mean, he's got the big arm. He's on record as throwing an 80
He actually
pass. They may be selling him a little bit short, but a little bit.
actually
This is
done
not
it.
a gimmick ability. These things are inspired by their real life skills that make them special. So that's his zone ability. Does he have any others? Yes, he also has superstar abilities. As an X Factor, one of our better X Factors, he has a zone ability and then superstar abilities. We're going to break down his loadout here right here. We got Escape Artist first. As everyone knows, he's a dual threat quarterback. Escape Artist gives him elite agility and speed when scrambling.
Oh, snap. See this boy's pivot?
I mean, that's what he does. And then Dashing Jedi.
Everybody's gonna be playing with him. Gee, Christmas. I'm gonna be playing with the Niners.
The best accuracy you can have in our game. And then here's a red zone. Yeah, red zone Jedi. If you watched him last year, you know he was deadly in the red zone. When he's inside the 20-yard line, again,
Ooh.
perfect passing accuracy. Lastly, no.
Oh.
I'm really excited about this one.
That's pretty
He's gonna
cool.
have perfect accuracy. The only quarterback in the game that wants that perfect accuracy on crossbody throws. Exclusive.
Perfect accuracy on
Crossbody throws, which is the throw every coach tells you not to make.
Which is the throw every coach tells you not to make.
Freaking Madden.
You know, the only thing about Madden, any video game, is as they move more toward being a video game than being something that replicates reality.
Right.
You know, but Madden has always been very good at the virtual reality portion of it. I mean, their statistics are as close as you can get relative. You know, if somebody's faster than everybody else, their rating will be 99,
right,
and everybody else will be 90 or something like that.
Right.
And it, you know, it is what it is. But
that's
you know,
cool.
It really does replicate to a large degree. So I just thought that was something that's kind of fun, and we shared that on Ben and Barry on football. Let's get out of that.
Now, I don't even play Madden, but I can appreciate the fact that you have to actually earn the ability to use that function, so to speak.
Oh, you like that part?
For lack of a better word. Oh yeah, you can't just give it to him.
Yeah,
You can't just give it to him.
yeah,
The
like
person that wants
out.
to use, otherwise, like you said, everybody's going to use him. Everybody's going to try to use him, but you're going to have to earn the ability to be able to make that 80-yard throw. You have to complete. He said you have to complete X number of pass plays for X number of yards.
4 plays over 30 yards. So, I mean, you already got to put it out there a little bit. You know what I mean?
Right.
And then you can launch this 80s.
Well,
That's
yeah,
hilarious. That is hilarious. The funny thing is now, if Kareem Hunt's not there, and if what's the other? Kareem Hunt's the running back, right?
Yeah, he's long.
The wide receiver.
Yeah,
that's not there.
Yeah.
So that super speed that you had,
mm-hmm.
you know, we'll have to see if they have somebody else that can pick that up.
Yeah. That's
I pulled this over from Instagram because they're saying that the Ravens last year when Lamar Jackson came in,
yep,
he came in as sort of a gimmick, an add-on, because they still had Flacco there playing, and they would put Lamar out wide and do all types of weird stuff.
They put in some plays to get him on the field.
So it wasn't, the playbook was not geared to him.
Right.
This year's playbook is geared to him.
Okay.
And so we talked a lot about Kingsbury and what they're going to be running as a system. The question is really, what are these guys going to be running a system? We know they've got RG3. They've got McSorley, right?
Mm-hmm.
From Penn State. So they've got, was there another quarterback back there that was mobile? But they have at least 2 backups who are mobile type quarterbacks.
McSorley can move too.
Right, exactly. So if they're going to, you know, my thing has always been, if you're going to have a system where you have a lot of mobility and you're asking your quarterback to, you know, you're putting an X amount of run plays for your quarterback, then you better have some backups that can run that system.
Makes sense, but
or
this
you're
is
going to
all
have to
about
switch
him.
completely.
This is all about him right now. This whole offensive overhaul is all about
him. It's all about him, you know, no doubt about it. The question is, like I said, if he ever goes out, then what? You know, but they have quarterbacks who can mimic him. You know, they might not be him, but they can mimic him. And I'm very interested. You know, the thing about McSorley is I always thought he was a gamer at the very least. You know what I mean? And so I was kind of interested to see how he would be. We might get to see him in preseason. Might not get.
Oh, we will.
We get to see him in preseason.
Yeah,
so that's going to be an interesting thing that we can talk about as we move forward on that. And then I want to move over and talk about our good deed of. We like Ben and Barry in football. We like to talk about the good deeds in the NFL. Who's doing what? Let's share a little bit about.
And here we are. Here we are at the Mad Mary 21st annual Mad Mary UT. Trevor, it's unlike Team Youth right here. 21 years this thing has been going on, right, Trevor? Before you were born. Anyway, we've raised about $8 million. Greatest bocce event in the history of the world. Right here.
Oh, it's a
They're
bocce
playing
team.
bocce ball.
All right. Well, anyway, I gotta go. We gotta kick some butt. Hey, here we are.
So
Here we are.
I think this is for
Mad Mary
cancer
21st annual
or
Okay.
something like that.
Okay. Bocce ball. That's interesting.
Yeah,
I seen the old head Italian dudes down in the park down South Philly playing bocce.
Really?
Yeah,
Wow.
it's a crazy game.
Wow. So somebody's always doing something good. As a matter of fact, let me share this real quick if I can, because our young homie, Mr. Corey Clement, had his first football camp, first annual football camp, and Mom actually showed up and shared some video from the camp. I understand that it was a very good camp. I don't know why I'm in that mode right there where things aren't playing. Let's just pause this for a second.
Buffering.
It's buffering. But I understand that he got a lot of support from the team.
From the other Eagles
Some
players
other
showed
Eagle
up for him
players
and all that
showed
stuff.
up.
Yeah, you always hope that happens, because the kids are coming to camp and they're trying to learn something from pros. That's a big enough thrill. But then to actually be there and talk to the guys
Yeah.
and see them, the guys you hear your pop and your big brother cussing at and screaming for, and you're there with them. That's a big thrill.
Yeah,
That's
absolutely.
thrill for me.
Hey, look.
I like hanging out with these guys, man.
So the kids had a really good time, and I understand the food was really good. They got a lot of donations from the local, businesses in the area.
Was it held in Jersey?
It was at Rowan University.
Oh, right. Okay.
Yeah, it was
Cool.
at Rowan University.
Cool.
So, I mean, it's congratulations to Corey Clement, and we're going to have to move on. I don't know why you were buffering there, Corey. We also wanted to share the fact that, yes, we are also on Instagram. Let's do the share thing here and show our Instagram page. There we are, BNBOF on Instagram. Instagram, again, is a challenge for a novice like me to figure out all the ins and outs of videos. I mean, I had a video, it was all set up, and it just would not upload for some reason. So
Did you figure out why?
No, I never
Oh,
had a chance to figure it out.
So you were within the confines of the rules?
As far as I
Instagram
knew,
has rules, right?
yeah, like,
I don't know anything about Instagram, so.
believe me, all of this stuff is new, but we're getting there. Because I've been successful. I've uploaded videos. This one particular video would not upload, however. So we are on
Got some good
Instagram.
stuff on
We're
there, though.
just getting ready, just getting started, just starting to build some following.
Hey, followers. I like that.
Followers. And then if you go to www.benandbarryonfootball.com, it will take you directly to our YouTube page. Directly to the YouTube page. That is the website, www.benandbarryonfootball.com. So feel free to go there, check out the videos, give us your feedback. We're looking to create dialogue, create conversation. We'd like to hear from you. Let us know if you think we're, right, wrong,
Please
left,
do.
right, up, down, 180 or 360.
Especially
especially
because this is the actual first time that we're doing a whole off season.
yeah, we've never done
Okay.
an off season.
So it's been a bit of a challenge, but we've tried to come up with good content to talk to you guys about every week, and I think we've been doing pretty well.
And you know, it's funny because I actually heard on television they say that the media is content starved for the NFL in the off season. So everybody's looking for content. So we try to look at some of the bigger picture issues and things of that nature, talking about the coaches and what's going on. Again, he's a Giant fan, so if you see me, you know, mashing his taters, as the commercial said about. I know, I think that's the stupidest, but it's so funny. I'm just mashing your taters. Look at that look. Look at that look.
I don't even want to say it.
About his Giants, and you've been pretty kind about the Niners. You've been feeling sorry for them.
I don't know if they were bad enough for me to feel sorry about them. That'd be pretty bad. I try not to do that to you, you know, but I actually think you guys are on the upswing. I like your team. I like a lot of your players. You had some problems on defense, but I can see where Mr. Shanahan is going.
Well, he's another guy that came in with a system. You know, I mean, he
it helped immediately.
You know,
if anything, and we didn't even talk about what injuries do to a first-year coach. So, you know.
Yeah, he had plenty of them. However, can you think of a much overall a much stronger division than the NFC West
as it stands right now?
As it stands right now.
Let's see. NFC West. So we're talking Seahawks, Rams,
Niners, and Cardinals.
I'm sure I could find a tougher division than that.
Okay.
Let's see. Right off the top of my head, how about
How
about the NFC North?
Minnesota.
You scoff at them because you don't like their quarterback. They're in it for the last 3 years.
Minnesota, Green Bay, Chicago,
yeah,
and Detroit.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
There's only one loser there. I shouldn't say loser. I'm sorry, Detroit fans. But there's only one team there that's really challenged for wins.
It's compared to, let's say, the Cardinals in the NFC West. But if you were to compare any of
the Cardinals and y'all
to the
y'all ain't proved nothing yet.
Well, I'm thinking more in terms of the Rams and the Seahawks first and foremost.
Being very good.
Yeah, being very good.
Okay.
You know,
okay.
So comparative analysis between Green Bay, Seahawks, Rams, Bears.
Yeah, that's
Seahawks,
what I did
Rams.
to come up with that. Yeah.
You think they're on pretty much the same level? Okay.
Absolutely.
All right. So he found one.
AFC Central.
AFC Central. Who's that? Who are we talking about?
Ravens, Browns, Steelers.
Bengals. The names.
Well, everybody's got a stinker. Everybody's got a stinker.
Somebody got to bring up the rear, right?
Yeah, you just don't want to be the stinker. That's all.
Just don't want to be that.
Shoot, if I say NFC East, some people say Giants are the stinker. We ain't done nothing the last 2 years. We haven't done a doggone thing. But it's going to be tough to call. No one of them teams is great. Eagles being probably at the top of the pecking order. But nobody's bad either. That division's up for grabs.
Yeah.
Yeah. So stop thinking you got it so bad.
So is
in the NFC West. Big deal.
It's a tough division.
Big deal.
You know, it's a tough division. In any event, the Cardinals, you know, we're looking for them to be a bit of a surprise, systems wise. We're trying to see what's going on with them. The Ravens, we're trying to see what's going on in them system wise. I don't know if we have a system concept for the Browns at this point as to what they're going to be running offensively. As a team, you know, with a new coach that's bringing in a system, I'm not quite sure what they're going to be looking to do.
I don't know what we're going to get out of Freddie Kitchens, man. I have no idea what we're going to get out of this guy. I really don't. So, I mean, if I'm him, I'm trying to run as nice and easy and balanced and offensive as I possibly can, and try to kill people on defense and just keep it like that. He has no system. He was a position coach.
Well, like you said about the guy coming into Green Bay, he'll probably just run.
Right.
They
You don't want
used
to rock the
run.
boat too much.
You know,
If
run
you
the
have
boat
some
too much.
offensive ideas, which he probably doesn't have many, because if I remember correctly, he was a defensive coach.
You may have an idea too.
Yeah, but you don't want to change too much from what they had success with the year before. See, that's the whole thing. If they didn't have success, you could probably do whatever you want.
Hmm.
But if they had success, people are gonna look at you funny. You go changing a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. All right. Any rants or things of that nature?
this isn't really a rant, so to speak,
I think we have a rant.
but it's funny because for some reason the Patriots keep finding themselves in these situations, but they are now charging the Houston Texans with tampering. And we hear tampering a lot when it comes to players. We hear about it even more in the NBA, but now it's happening in the NFL in reference to a guy in the front office. And it's funny because some of the names you'll know, some of the names you won't know, but everybody's all tied in the Patriot way, so to speak.
Yeah, it's taking over like the West Coast did, isn't it?
Yeah, so the Texans fired their general manager. Brian Gain was his name. And within days, they were coming to the Patriots for permission, because that's what you have to do when you want to talk to somebody that's already under contract. You have to ask permission to talk to them. And they can say no, flat out, or they can say yes. And Nick Caserio is the director of player personnel for the Patriots, and the Texans want to hire him as their new GM because they just fired their GM. So they fired their GM, and then they came within days, if not a day, to the Patriots to try to talk to Caserio. The Patriots found that a little odd. So they did some digging, and
Investigations?
yeah. So there's this guy named Jack Easterby, and he has a long story. But the bottom line is he's like a pastor by trade, but he's one of them guys. He's like a team psychologist, kind of, I'll help you with your problems. If you need something, come to me. He's like the everything guy on the team. And he's really, really good at it. He was on the Patriots for like 8 years. Okay? He be at practice. He's like, you watching TV and you see them in camp and you see that guy snapping the ball to the quarterbacks, just flip. He would do that. He would run routes. Because he was kind of an athletic guy too. He played basketball in college, I think, South Carolina, I think. He just was everything. Rookies come in, he meet them at the airport. He'd make sure they have rides. If they needed security, he took care of it. He babysat their kids. You name it.
Man about football. Right?
You name it.
Man about team.
This guy did it. But he was a real Christian-based dude, Well, shortly after the what's the Patriots owner's name? Kraft got into the little scandal with the prostitution thing. He quits. It's a little much for him, I think. He's a real devout dude. He figured maybe I wear out my welcome, or at least I put in my time here. I'm going to move on. It was curious that it happened right after that. I don't think he wanted to be associated with that, or he was so disappointed, whatever. And he gets hired to do the same thing he did for the Patriots for the Titans. I'm putting this together like a cop. Back before that, before the scandal thing, Kraft had a big party at his house for the players to get their Super Bowl rings.
They didn't give him a ring?
No, they did. He was on the team then.
They
So
gave
he
him a
was
ring?
at the party. He was at the party. And guess who he was seen talking to? Nick Casario. So they're putting all this together and they're saying, this guy worked for the Patriots. Casario works for the Patriots. This guy leaves the Patriots, goes to the Texans, comes back, talks to his buddy, sets things up, fire the GM. We want to hire him. And they're like, huh? What? Yeah. Although this is not a rant, Patriots, come on. Why y'all on here? Y'all getting done this time. Usually it's you guys doing something to somebody else. Now somebody's trying to do something to you, but y'all too smart for that because that's how you guys think. That's the way on New England. So the Texans are trying to New England, and they got caught. Bottom line with this,
Can't play a player.
exactly. That's what they're trying to do. Bill Belichick's laughing like, who you think you are? I'm the goat around here. You know?
Player.
So
Come on now.
they can say, you know what? Go ahead. You already started the preliminaries on that. Go ahead. We'll let him have his contract. You can sign him. But it's going to cost you a couple draft picks, and they will have to pay. You can darn near, if you bust somebody on tampering charges, you can darn near write your own ticket for what you want. Yeah.
Wow.
So that's what I'm
Okay.
thinking may happen.
All right. I saw it come across the airways, but I didn't pay much attention to it.
It caught my eye because the Patriots are always in some outside thing like this, you know. Only this time somebody was trying to stick
Something
it to
going
them.
on with them guys. Always
Yeah.
something always going on with them guys. All right, that was a good one, Mr. Reporter here. Got undercover.
There's another story. The guy that the Texans actually fired to make way for this dude supposedly fired like 5 black people that work for the Texans on some racist stuff. But that's another whole story. Yeah.
Another whole story.
That's a whole different story.
We'll look into that.
Yeah, so he had to go.
Wow. Titans, right?
Texans.
Texans were under duress.
Yeah.
Under Texans. Now, if there's one team that has had a lot of turnover over the last 10 years in coaching and ranks, probably it's the Texans. Lots of changes.
Yeah.
I think, if I remember.
Yeah,
correctly.
they went through a lot of quarterbacks. That I know.
That's for sure.
They went through a ton of
That's
quarterbacks.
for sure. They got a good one now.
Hang in there, Deshaun.
Hang in there, Deshaun. All right. Any last words?
The only last word I have is PTTFL playoffs start this weekend. If you're in Philadelphia, you're anywhere near Simon's Recreation Center, which I believe the actual address is on Woolston Street, but Rodney and Walnut Lane, you can find the fields. That should be good, and go Noles.
Peace out. Ben and Barry on football.